I am excited to introduce to you our Spanish teacher, Miss Valeria Eshleman-Robles. This morning is an opportunity for us to hear a little bit more about her and her life and her journey before joining us at EMS. And it's also an opportunity for her to share about her passions. And one of those is dance. And that can be whether she's performing dance or whether she's teaching dance or whether she's planning or studying choreography. Listen for why Miss Eshleman-Robles shares in more detail about why dance is not Sabbath for her, why she is thankful for her students, and we'll be able to learn more about her creative process and love for dance. Watch for how she uses her God-given talent to express her emotions and to tell a story through dance and to invite her audience to experience that story as well. We'll be able to watch a short video clip which will help us learn more about her time in Memphis, Tennessee, and we'll be able to see some examples of how she plans and how she steps out her choreography, as well as to see her performing on stage in Guatemala. Please join me in prayer before we begin. Dear God, thank you for the gifts that you give each of us. Thank you for the gifts that you have given Ms. Robles. May our hearts be open to the stories of the people around us today and each day. In your name, amen. Let's give Ms. Robles a warm round of applause. You're going to be great.
Thank you. All right, good morning. My name is Valeria Eshleman-Robles, and I teach Spanish 1 to 4. You might know me as Mrs. ER, Mrs. Eshleman-Robles, Miss Robles, Señora Robles, Señora Eshleman-Robles, Maestra, or my favorite, Miss Maestra. With my name comes the constant reminder of where I am. I've heard more than 1,000 different pronunciations of my first name. I try not to think much about it, but our name is our identity. I have a new last name too, and that also changed who I am. I moved to Harrisonburg officially a year ago, permanently moved to the US for the first time, after never spending a full year in the US before. So I'm still working at that. If you're my student, you might know some things about me. I love every other week quizzes. I hate the movie Elf, or any movie with dogs playing sports. If I say on, I probably meant in, and if I say in, it was probably on or at. They're the same. I don't care. And that I will never, ever have you guys watch Coco again. Ever. But if you really pay attention to me, you might notice that I'm always spinning around or walking around or going on my toes, like up and down. I've always found it hard to stay still. Not in a fidgety way, but I'm always moving my body, following an invisible rhythm or an inner song. I'm not sure, I just can't stand still. And that's why I became a dancer. But when I say I'm a dancer from Latin America, some people think I look like this. My mom thought I was gonna look like this. And when I moved to Harrisonburg, everyone thought I was going to do this. But I actually, and I hope you never think I do this. What I do is this. What in the world? I know. And it might be weird, and it's okay, because that's the normal reaction to contemporary dance. Contemporary dance started as a revolution against the typical pretty in pink dancer, looking cute and fragile. No, I'm a contemporary modern dancer, which means I move around, not worrying too much if it looks graceful or pretty. I fell in love with dance because I figured out I could speak with movement. I'm not usually a loud or talkative person. If you are my coworker, you might notice that I'm mostly a quiet person. If I'm not yelling stuff in Spanish and running around the class with Spanish 1, or trying to avoid uncomfortable silence with my third period, then I'm mostly a very quiet person. And that is not because I don't like talking or diving into conversations. I love listening. But sometimes my brain gets tired. Like going back and forth between a language to another can be very exhausting in your Spanish class, right? Now imagine doing that 24 hours a day. I'm thankful, though, that my husband can understand when I have to complain and share important emotions in Spanish. Besides teaching here, I teach dance in Elkton, and some Fridays I dance with the Harrisonburg Dance Co-op. So if I'm not planning a lesson for my Spanish class, I'm planning a new choreography or creating a new movement. I want to share with you a little bit of what this looks like. So in this series of random embarrassing clips, you'll see more of those parts. So do you know that feeling when you finish a TV show or a book or a video game? I don't know about the video game, but that you just don't know what to do next. It's like, okay, that was cool, now what? Well, I felt like that for some time when I just moved to the US and left all my Guatemalan projects behind. That was 2 years ago. So I started dancing when I was feeling lonely and sad, because sitting it down and just contemplating the nothingness didn't make me feel better, it just made me feel worse. I needed to move, to feel alive, to just move. Then you'll see a sudden cut to the next clip, because we're not professional movie makers here, of me with my EMHS shirt on any evening after school, planning my dance classes, asking my husband to interrupt his work, record me, so I can ask, does this look too weird? Even if I know the answer is always, yeah, but it's okay. My Mennonite husband. Then you'll see me teaching the awesome Elkton crew, who I would hate to have in my class. But I love to dance with them. They're just maybe too loud. And last but not least, you will see me on stage a couple of years ago. So I'm nervous, but all right, here we go. So my whole existence is constant movement. I like to run sometimes. I clean my house and dance and move around. So when I was asked to do a chapel that met both dance and Sabbath, I realized that dance is not or cannot be my place for Sabbath. Because for my Sabbath, I need to stop and breathe and stay calm. It's a moment to stop and reflect on the things that are around me and appreciate the little details in them. And well, that video was supposed to show you how I don't Sabbath, but on the weekends, my husband always wakes up before me. So when I come out of the room to the living room, it's always the same. The coffee maker is making random noise and steaming like crazy because we broke it. So the smell of coffee brewing, the light slightly but perfectly illuminating our living room, and the indistinct sound of a guy yelling in English, Spanish, German, French. I don't know. The only word I understand is go. So if you know my husband a little, well, that guy is narrating some soccer game that I don't know. I sit on the couch and I look around at the same image of my Saturday morning, and I feel so calm and extremely thankful. How couldn't I? As much of a foreigner and as much as an immigrant as I am, my situation cannot compare to others who had to leave their country behind and had to cross incredible and indescribable journeys. I choose to appreciate the things that I have now in my life, like you. Imagine if I would start my weekend thinking about all the things that went wrong during the week. All the time someone rolled their eyes because of what I thought was a fun class activity probably wasn't fun enough. Or when for some reason my class is the perfect moment to ask for a nap. Austin. Or the million times I've been asked if we're going to watch Coco for the second time, but in English, please. Or Shark Tale, or Peppa Pig. Or if we're gonna have assigned seats. Yes, you're always gonna have assigned seats. Your name is taped on the desk, so yeah. Instead, I decide to think about the moments that make me smile. And as I sip my coffee and prepare to plan, I think about other things, like thinking it's going to be so hard to find a movie that my Spanish 4 think it's challenging and meaningful, but then instead, they'll decide that Cars 2 has it all. Or thinking of the laughs we shared watching quinceañeras falling on their faces. Or Silas and Michael asking me about my life, my culture, our differences. How do you guys do things? How do you guys say this? I love that class. When I start to feel anxious because I don't know if what I'm thinking for a class will be well received, I think about, well, it'll be okay. Phil will ask me something so random that is just gonna help me break the ice and feel like everything is okay, we're on a team. And Eli Hess will be just nodding his head like, everything's gonna be okay. Or Rihanna, who for some reason knows all the words in Spanish. She's in Spanish 1. Or Sydney Rhodes, I know she's not here. She always tells me when she's not gonna be in my class. Who's the only student when I say, today we're gonna draw, she's like, I love drawing. Or Abby with her always on the dot comments. And Ryan, Garrett, and Riley with La Mesa que Más Aplaude, which I don't know how they learned that song. So weird. Or of course, walking around the EMHS halls, and boom, suddenly random Spanish, English laughs. Emily and Brittany talking about something I understand. That's cool. I'm bilingual. And of course, Joe. There are many things about my students that make me feel thankful for where I am and the interactions I have with you every day. I feel lucky to get to see you. I feel lucky when I can run around the streets here in the US and I feel safe. When my boss listens to me, to what I have to say, and asks for my opinion and actually cares. When my in-laws come to see me talk and talk and talk and talk because they love me. When I can help my parents back home with the effort of my job. Just so many things. And having those thoughts as I sip my coffee on a Sunday morning, those thoughts are what make me feel Sabbath. So I'm gonna test a new metaphor here with you because honestly, I don't know what the speed limit is in Guatemala. Like, I don't even know if we have one, or maybe we do. So it's scary for me to think how easily we can forget to be thankful. It's like driving on cruise control, something I didn't know exists, like you just drive, on the interstate, and then boom, suddenly you're just hitting the rumble strips, and you're like, oh, you wake up. So when my parents visited in December, they were those strips for me. I was starting to go on cruise control, just being so used to the good things, and I needed someone to remind me to be thankful. My mom couldn't stop saying, wow, this is such a big, huge school. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't think they think this is a big school. But she was like, wow. And my dad, he couldn't have enough about the basketball court. He was like, wow. And those little things we can enjoy every day, and we don't think about it. So if this works, let me show you a little bit of what Guatemala looks like. So this will be your Google, you Google search Guatemala. Oh, it's so very pretty. But this is the neighbor you get to see like close to my house. And that's a random street that it's really close to my house in Guatemala that it's on Google. So yeah, that's kind of cool. Okay. So, and that's me just not dancing, just, can you take a picture of me doing this? And yeah. So back to my boring Sunday mornings, where I'm not spinning, I sit on the couch and I just notice the details. I'm thankful. It is important. It is a moment to stop and look and appreciate. I choose to love my work, my job. I choose to enjoy the good things about it. Being bored and just hating everything would be so unfair. It would be like sitting on a privilege that doesn't belong to me. But that doesn't mean that I should spend every evening staring at my coffee pot waiting for the noises. I give myself the permission to stop because I spent 5 days in go mode. And some of you do too. School is hard. What is important, I believe, is that we learn how to balance moments of stillness and moments of movement just like a perfect choreography. If we want to enjoy stopping, then we should give ourselves something that makes us go. Maybe that's why sometimes mindful resting is not meaningful, because we didn't have anything that we spend our energy on. Something that drains you emotionally, physically, in a positive way. Something that you pour yourself into, like playing sports, or playing an instrument, or reading a book, or something like that. Following a passion. And I enjoy what I do, both teaching and dancing. Teaching Spanish makes me feel like I'm doing something right, something that is only fair. Dancing makes me feel like I'm investing myself in a less tangible way, where the results are not what I see, but how I feel. It's a cathartic action. And at the end of the week, I have my mornings to sit, reflect, debrief, and enjoy what is good. And enjoy a French soccer game, even if I'm not watching. My hope for each one of you is that you can find your ways to rest and Sabbath and be thankful, but also that you can find that thing that makes you feel passion and gives your Sabbath practice a reason to exist. Thank you.